press record. I got record now. The quote of the day is, if exercise could be packed in a pill, it would be the single most widely prescribed and beneficial medicine in the nation. So that's very interesting to think about as health, exercise as a medicine, right? It helps us with so many things. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Why is it beneficial? What does it do for us? So the benefits of exercise, and then also incorporating the outdoors. Next screen, please. So this is just because we're federally funded, we need to share this information with you. This is how you would file a complaint if you ever felt like you're being discriminated against. All our classes are open to everybody and all of the public. All right, next. So the things we're going to talk about today, the objectives is today we will cover benefits of the outside activities, benefits of exercising and in general, exercise frequency and guidelines, and different intensity levels that you can use for your exercise activities. So how many hours a day on average do you spend sitting, do you think? Go ahead and write in the chat. How many hours a day do you think you actually spend sitting? Three hours, 12, 4, 7, 8. It varies, yep. Mm-hmm. Well, Sherry's going to go over actually how much the average person spends sitting, but you have to remember there's lots of variables as far as like your drive to work, your drive home, those all count as sitting. So we may be sitting a lot longer than we actually do. And I think Sherry's going to cover that later with you. And what exercises do you like to do during the day? So what are some of the things that you do maybe to relieve some stress while you're at work or when you get home? Name a few of the exercises that you like to do? Walking is a big one. A lot of people like to walk. I love walking. That's one of my favorites. Dancing, that's a great one. Walking, biking, yoga. Yoga is also really good for stress. Cycling, yoga, yard work is another really good one. Swimming, horseback riding. Oh, that's a new one. Don't see that one too much. Swimming is a great one. Weightlifting. Roller skating. That's a fun one. Tennis. So as you can see, it's a lot different for everybody. If you find something that you're interested in, you like, then you're going to stick with it more often. So it looks like a lot of people have a big variety of different things they'd like to do. I saw some that were outside and some that were inside. Both exercises are beneficial for us. We do want to go ahead and make sure that we're trying to incorporate different things. So being inside some days, being outside some days, both are very beneficial. All right. Next screen, please. So again, let's talk about, what indoor versus outdoor. Both are good for you, as we know, and by adding 30 minutes a day of exercise benefits your overall health. So all we need is 30 minutes a day for overall health, no matter if it's indoor or outdoor. But when you are outside, your body needs to adjust for the weather, the climate, the terrain. So by adding these different features, you're going to add more to your workout. You're going to sweat more, you're going to burn more calories. So you will get a little bit more benefits from actually adapting to the outside environment. We're also going to get some vitamin D, right? That's going to help with our bone health. So those are really good things that we want to think about when we think about exercising outside. Next. Some more benefits of working or being outside is you get to connect with the environment. You get to see all the birds, the trees, ponds. You really get to see all those wonderful things that nature has to offer for us. It's a mental health. You get to kind of be in the environment and come one with the environment, which really helps with your mental health. Social interaction activities with others, so hiking, swimming. Easily accessible. Going outside is so easy, right? Just walk out your door and there you are. Change of routine. Again, if you get used to the same thing, you might get bored. So changing it up a little bit is going to help. And then it burns more calories, like I mentioned earlier. And guess what? It's free. Even better, right? It's free. Next one, please. So mental health. Many studies show that working out makes you feel happy and reduces stress, which that's been proven, right? You know how you feel after you work out. You feel really great about yourself. You feel really good inside. When you work out, your body releases endorphins that make you feel satisfied. So why wouldn't you work? Why would going outside be even better for you? Studies show that when you go outside, your brain gets the sunlight and it increases the serotonin and the natural mood stabilizer that reduces depression and anxiety. So again, getting those mood stabilizers, getting the outside air, the fresh air really changes your mood. Also, being outside provides you with vitamin D, which is also a mood stabilizer. So not only are you benefiting your bones, but you're also benefiting your mental health. Next slide. So many people get stressed out about going to the gym, working out in general. The time it takes to get there, getting ready, all the things that you have to prepare for, maybe get your dinner ready ahead of time if you're doing it right after work, or how you're going to get to work on time if I work out in the morning. By working out outside, it reduces some of that stress and the feeling of that overwhelming. Like it's a chore. I have to go here. I have to do that. So just working out outside, you get that benefit of it not being so hard to get to. Working outside can be enjoyable. Again, you're connecting with nature, you're getting that vitamin D, that mental stability, that stabilizers. Right, next. Social activity. So many people like to work out with others. It's enjoyable for you to be around others. It helps you motivate you. You can collaborate with friends and families to meet up at the park. You also can bring your children while they're playing on the playground. You can take a walk around the perimeters. You can find a fun way to maybe incorporate into a family activity. Let's go to the park and play a game, or let's go do an activity together. Involve the whole family in these activities. Bring a snack, make it a picnic or a lunch. Make it enjoyable for everybody to get outside and get that and get some activity. Next. Easily accessible. So the time is restricted for most people. So getting to the gym can be challenging, right? Going outside isn't. You just walk out your front door. You don't have to pack special clothes when you are doing something, right after work. You don't have to worry about bringing gym clothes. You don't have to have special clothes in general to work out outside. You can wear, if you're going to be in the yard, you can wear your yard clothes. If you're going to walk, you can wear, some shorts and a t-shirt. So there's really nothing special about going outside or any special clothing that is needed. You don't have to wait for others when they get off the equipment. I don't know how many times I waited in line for somebody to finish, and they don't rush, they take their sweet time. So you're wasting kind of time at the gym. You could have been done already, but you're waiting for this equipment to get available. You don't have to it's not the extra driving time. Again, the chore of getting there. Sometimes it's aggravating. Now with gas prices so high, nobody wants to take extra trips, right? If you can't do it on the way home or the way to work, then you don't want to get out there and do extra. You don't have to worry about bringing a towel or a water bottle, right? And you can have those at your home. You can bring them right outside, or you can keep going inside if you're gardening. You can have an outside refrigerator and have plenty of water for you to drink while you're doing those activities. So using the outside environment really does have a lot of its benefits for people. All right, the next slide. It adds variation to regular activity. Again, like I mentioned earlier, you can get bored really easily. If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're going to the gym, you're doing the treadmill, you're doing a couple weights, you can get very bored. By changing it up and going outside, you can, again, connecting with the outside, you can do walking with weights, you can find, hiking, you can explore, you can go swimming, walking around a park or trail, look at different places to go. Around my house, I have several parks. Even my backyard, sometimes it's fun just to kind of walk around that and see what's going on. So you can really utilize the areas in which you have. Schools are really good ones. They already have tracks on them. So a lot of people utilize those. And again, they're free, right? You can find hills to climb or sand if you live in a sandy area or have a park with some hills in there. Definitely, use those to increase your activity, burn more calories. Right, next. By doing activity outside, you will have many options of changing the routine, like we just talked about, and changing the routine burns more calories. Being outside, the conditions are not steady, right? They're constantly changing. You might be walking in hotter weather. You might be walking in some sprinkles. The road might be a little different today. They might be working on the road or the sidewalk. You might have to change your path into a grassy path where you're going to get more terrain. So there's variations outside all the time. When you're inside, it's always the same, right? The treadmill doesn't change. It's always a treadmill. You can change the hills a little bit, right? That does help. You can change the speed, right? But when you're outside, it's enjoyable. It's not like a chore. It's not like something you have to do. So you're burning those calories in a different environment. Okay, next. And I guess the best thing that I'm going to mention all through this presentation, it's free. Can't emphasize that enough. How, when things are free, sometimes we take advantage of them, but sometimes, they're just what they are, free. It doesn't need to say any more than this. Next. So it doesn't cost anything to go to a county park. They're free, right? You don't need any fancy clothes. You don't have to feel like you need fancy clothes, right? If you're outside doing yard work, you're doing yard work, right? Nothing fancy about that at all. You're going to get dirt on you either way. You can use your own body weight or weights. The weights aren't needed, so you can use things in your yard. Hoeing, if anybody's ever done some gardening and they've done some hoeing or weeding, you're using lots of muscles, right? You're definitely using your strength. You can use your own, in the gym, there's no memberships, right? The outside is free. It doesn't cost you anything to go out there. They're not charging you for that environment. All right, next. But we do have to take some precautions, right? You want to make sure that you start slow if it's a new routine. You don't want to just jump outside. You have to be careful of the weather, right? Because Florida gets really hot really fast, and a lot of us don't remember or don't think about how we have to be drinking before, during, and after. Again, you can get dehydrated very easily, so take that into consideration. If you're walking at a later time or an evening time, wear some reflective gear. If you're biking, reflective gear is also important. Do it in a safe area. Try to pick the safest routes that you're going to be taking. You want to, if you're going to be in a park, you don't want to be in a park by yourself. You want to be, with maybe somebody else, or know a time in which people are there, so you're not by yourself. You want to maybe use some sunscreen if you're going during the day. Again, Florida sun gets really hot. You want to make sure that you are preventing any kind of problems with the sun. And remember to wear some comfortable clothes, some comfortable shoes. I think the most important thing about working out outside is comfortable shoes. You want to make sure that your shoes are, fitting you well, and that you're comfortable and you're not hurting your body by using something that's super old or not efficient for you. So those are things that I would suggest for the outside to keep yourself safe and make sure that you are going to have a great workout. So Sherry is going to take over now. So thank you so much, and y'all have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you so much, Kim. And I saw in the chat somebody was pausing their weeding because they were out gardening. So thank you for wanting to join us. So I'm going to cover a little bit more on the science of exercise. So if you see here in these images, what do all of these pictures have in common? You can probably tell everybody here is sitting and looking at some kind of device. And that is a lot of what is going on with society today, right? We are just a very sedentary society now, and our bodies were not designed to be that way. And when we sit too much, we can certainly see a lot of problems. Going back to the quote that we opened up with that Kim had read off, that, if exercise could be a pill, it would be the most highly prescribed pill in the nation. And that is certainly true. Movement can really be medicine. So when we're sitting too much, we see all kinds of issues, from heart disease, diabetes, cancer, to even just pains, aches and pains, and just not that mental clarity. All right, so you probably heard of a sedentary lifestyle, right? We could also call this sitting disease. And that's just using to describe people that are in prolonged periods of sitting or overall inactivity. And while it might seem harmless, there are negative impacts when we are sitting too much. All right, so a little bit of statistics on the sitting disease or sedentary lifestyle. So we also asked in our icebreaker, how many hours a day do you think you sit? The average American is sitting 11 hours. So some of you said more, some of you said less, but on average, we're sitting at 11 hours per day. That includes sitting at our desk during our workday, sitting in our car, and then sitting in front of the TV. And that can lead to 300,000 deaths annually from this in combination with a poor diet, poor dietary habits. 20% of all deaths of people 35 and older are from lack of activity. 65% of us are watching 2 or more hours of TV. Women are more likely to be sedentary. All right, so you can see a lot of this. And again, it's not good. It's not healthy for us to be sitting this much. So looking at this heat map, this was a meta-analysis of looking at over 1 million men and women. All right, so this is a really nice visual here. You can see as daily sitting time increased, the risk of all-cause mortality increased. And then the orange and yellow, as we increase our activity time, that transitional time gets us into a lower risk, with the green being at an all-time low risk. So if you can see here, our daily sitting time increases, even if we are sitting at a desk from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., right? We're just sitting nonstop. But if we just added a little bit of exercise, we are going to see that we're still moving across towards that top right corner. So again, while we don't want to be sitting all the time, just adding in that little bit of exercise can certainly go a long way. So there are 5 components of physical fitness. Most of us just think of cardio, and that's certainly one of them, right? So our cardiorespiratory endurance is the first component. How easy can you run or walk or go up the stairs? All right, if you've been to a theme park lately, you probably noticed if you were easily out of breath or not, because there's tons of walking involved, or even just any kind of walking around like a downtown area or on the beach. You probably notice if you're a little bit more winded. All right, that's your cardiorespiratory endurance. Then there's muscular strength. So we're not always saying, well, how much can you lift as far as free weights, but just thinking about everyday tasks. So how many grocery bags can you carry at once? Do you need to make several trips because you are not strong enough to carry so much weights? But not only that, how's your muscular endurance? How far can you carry those grocery bags? In between your car and your kitchen, do you have to make some stops? Do you have to drop them off, right? Can your muscles endure a long distance when you are carrying something heavy? There's also flexibility. So this is also a component of fitness. How is your range of motion? If you are reaching for something, can you reach for it easily, or are you pulling a muscle? So we want to make sure we're getting our stretches in. And then body composition is composed of 4 parts: bone, water, muscle, and fat. All right, so what is the percentage of this? And I'm just going to pause for a second. I see a few things in the chat. Oh, somebody asked a question. Does this include hours spent lying down or sleeping? She said she can't reach the top because she's too short. That's where one of those grabber claw things come in handy, right, Heather? So that was a good question. Does this include hours spent lying down, sleeping? So we would not count this because sleep is the 3rd pillar of health. We certainly need sleep. So we're talking about in our waking hours, how much time is spent sitting or being sedentary, right? So the 3 pillars of sleep are exercise, nutrition, and sleep. So thank you for that question. All right, so here are just some of the many benefits of physical activity that we get, and this is focusing on adults, and certainly youth will reap a lot of benefits as well. So immediate benefits, you can see sleep, anxiety, and blood pressure, and then long-term, a lot of the more impactful parts of, or more impactful chronic disease preventions or even reversals. So let's talk about these here. So benefits of exercise, one of them was sleep as one of our immediate ones. So how does it improve that quality of sleep? Well, we're going to reduce the length of time it takes to fall asleep. And then if we awaken in the middle of the night, we have an easier time falling back to sleep, while also increasing our REM sleep. That's the deep part of the sleep where a lot of physiological changes are occurring. Reduces our tiredness during the day, and less need of sleep aid medications. All right, so exercise can do all of this. So remember, we said movement is medicine. Well, you're going to see a lot of common themes about not needing some sleep aids and medications. So when it comes to anxiety, a lot of Americans suffer from anxiety. Some situational, some chronic, all right? But when you exercise, it does a lot, all right? So the Harvard Health article had on this, so it says that anxiety, first of all, with exercise, the exercise can act as a distraction. Think about it, if something's stressing you out, having something physical to put your mind on can act as that distraction. And it can also decrease muscle tension. All right, if you joined us last week, we talked about stress release and managing stress. We talked about muscle relaxing. So just doing some kind of exercise can certainly help with that muscle release. Brain chemistry changes. Okay, so more anti-anxiety neurochemicals are being released throughout our bodies during a session of exercise. Also, it activates part of the brain that controls our reaction to perceived threats. So maybe our anxiety is telling us to be on high alert about something. And then when we exercise, it's going to better activate that part of the brain and maybe help us realize that something is not as threatening as we thought it was. And of course, it builds up resilience for future challenges. If you've ever worked out and wanted to stop and you challenge yourself to keep going, you obviously are building up that resilience, building up that discipline to keep going, and that can certainly play a role in anxiety. And one study showed people with anxiety who exercise more were better protected from developing anxiety symptoms than those in the group that were doing very little exercise. So I certainly hope, this is not to replace any anxiety medication you might be on if you're being prescribed that with your doctor, but this could certainly help. And maybe you can talk to your doctor about seeing what ways anxiety could play a role in replace of medication. All right, blood pressure, again, one of those immediate effects. So with a stronger heart comes less effort for blood to be pumped. So think about it. Our heart is a muscle. We always talk about building up muscular strength. Well, we want to build up our heart because that's a muscle too. All right, so when we have less effort, less force, then that means there is less force against the arteries, and that's how we get less blood pressure. So less force of the blood going through. Even just a single session of exercise, people can see reduced blood pressure. And we even here at Extension, some of the agents offer a class on blood pressure. I did one here in Pasco County, or I did several, and a lot of people did say they reduced their hypertension and even went off medication. So that was great. We talked a huge part about exercise and diet, of course, in conjunction, but exercise has really been seen as a great way to reduce blood pressure. All right, when it comes to brain health, exercise reduces risk of dementia, improves cognition, everything from attention, memory, learning over time and applying what you learned, and faster processing. And with youth, they actually showed that they can do better on academic tests. And like we said before, it improves with depression and anxiety, reduces or it improves mood as well. And just to clarify, this is both indoor and outdoor. So of course, if you're outdoors, you get a little bit better improvement on mood because you're getting that vitamin D. With heart health, again, the heart is a muscle. So when we raise our heart rates, we are strengthening it. So we're doing that cardio. And this is the most widely documented out of all the health benefits, right? All that heart health benefits that we've seen. So it can lower the risk of heart disease and stroke, which are the two leading causes of death in the US, improves blood flow, as we said, when it comes to blood pressure, and can lower bad cholesterol by as much as 10%, while also raising that good cholesterol. All right, another good one, cancer prevention. So this is huge. So physically active adults have a lower chance of developing a whole list of cancers. This is just some of them. This list is actually longer. Everything from bladder, breast, colon, a whole list of them. And again, this is in conjunction with a healthy lifestyle overall. So you want to make sure you're eating correctly. And of course, when you have a healthy weight, Also, this is going to help with regulating hormones, strengthening the immune system, healthy digestion, and reducing toxins in the body. So that's why they say a lot of this plays a role in cancer prevention. And for those that were diagnosed with cancer, they say continuing on with exercise as a cancer survivor, if cleared by your doctor, is a great way to improve quality of life, physical function, and less fatigued. And being overweight or obese is a risk factor in many cancer deaths. So again, if you are all cleared by your doctor, go ahead and try to get yourself some exercise time. All right, and then one of the biggest no-brainers, right? Healthy weights. This is all part of that energy balance equation. All right, so what are you taking in as far as calories? What are you burning off with those calories? So there's a whole list of things that influence our weights. And the good news is that with behavior and environments, if we focus more on those and take action on those, we're going to get results. All right, so behavior and environment. So are you eating right? Are you exercising? And then what actions are you taking? So these are the top two. So obviously, if you're taking in too many calories, you will gain weight. If you are burning off or not taking in enough calories, you are in a calorie deficit. And for those looking to just maintain their current weights, you just want to be in a perfect balance. So the calories you have coming in is what you have coming out. All right. Sorry, I was just pausing to checking the comments. All right, and then bone and muscle strength. So we want to slow the loss of bone density. We see that a lot as part of the aging process, but it is not a healthy part of the aging process. A lot of us think that's just assumed. We're all just going to have to deal with it, but that's not the case. So if you exercise and do a lot of weight-bearing activities, then that produces a force on the bone, which promotes bone growth and bone strength. And physically active people have a lower risk of hip fracture. That was seen in some studies, and physically active people have a lower risk of falling and injuries from falls, if in fact they do fall. As we age, unfortunately, we do lose muscle mass and strength. So if you are continuing to stay active and do strengthening activities, that can help reduce that loss. All right, and then another one to cover, balance and coordination. We don't really think too much of this as far as our overall fitness, but it is important to maintain equilibrium while we're moving or even while stationary. Thinking about it too, people have a fear of falling, especially as we get older. So maintaining your balance is a big way to help. All right, so easy ways, simple as walking can help with your balance, even walking backwards. Do this safely, of course. Sometimes I like to do it as part of my cool down on the treadmill. Once I start slowing down to about 2 miles an hour or less, I like to just walk backwards. Even some yoga and Tai Chi poses can help with balance too. Not all the moves, but some of them. And then standing, hopping on one leg, etc. And of course, this helps reduce the risk of falls. So what we're going to do really quickly, we're going to test your balance. All right, so you don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want, but let's see how your balance is. And I will do this. I'm going to angle my camera a little bit lower so you can hopefully see me. You're just going to stand on one leg, put your hands on your hips, and we're going to count to 10. And hopefully you can maintain your balance during that time. All right, so just holding up your one leg like that, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, how'd you all do? Were you a little wobbly? Were you steady? Let's try the other leg. All right, we'll do it again. Okay, angle this down, other leg, hands on your hips, and count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and there was one more that I thought I would like for you all to do. Do this one if you want. This one's a little bit more challenging. This is a single leg squat touchdown. So you're going to be lifting one leg, then you take the opposite hand. So if my left leg is up, so I'll take my right hand and I'll just kind of go down and try to touch my toe. And I know you all can't see that. Try to angle this a little bit lower, and then just holding that down. If that's too hard, you can try to touch your knee or your shin, but just trying to touch and then holding that down. So I'll count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, was that one harder? How'd you all do? Did anyone get a chance to do it, or was I the only one just acting silly? Did you all get the chance to test your balance? Again, balance is one of those ones that we kind of overlook as far as overall fitness, but it is definitely important, especially as we go about the aging process, because so many people end up being hospitalized because of falls. So we want to maintain our balance throughout life. All right. Oh yeah, Paula, definitely skip this one. You got your heels on. All right. Alice said her balance was good. All right. Michelle was better. All right. Good. Awesome. Yeah. And unfortunately, when we sit too much, it does, in fact, affect our balance too, because we're not using a lot of our muscles that help with balance and stabilization. All right. So thank you all that were able to participate in that. All right, so we're talking about all this with exercise. Yeah, we can reduce our chances of cancer and high blood pressure, but how much do we need? Well, the science says we need at least 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity exercises spread out throughout the week. All right, so that comes to 2.5 hours per week. Again, per week, so that's doable. Think about it. If you are going for 30-minute walks during your lunch break, 5 days a week, that puts you at 150 minutes. All right, even if you do a 10-minute bout here, and then a 60-minute bout the next day, and then a 20-minute bout the next day. Again, it doesn't matter how you break it down, just try to aim for 150 minutes per week. You could also go for 75 minutes of a vigorous intensity. Again, spread throughout the week, that would be 1 hour and 15 minutes. And we'll talk about the differences in intensities. You can also do a combination of these. Some people like to switch it off between moderate and vigorous. However, if you are trying to lose weight, you might need to do more than this. All right, so again, just depends on that calories in, calories out balance. So make sure if you are trying to lose weight, you'll want to keep track of how often you are getting your exercise. Now, if physical limitations are a barrier, just be as active as you can. Something's better than nothing. Even 5 minutes of activity has health benefits. And of course, check with your doctor if you have any chronic conditions or certain medications. Going back to the earlier topic about being outdoors, some medications, you don't want to be out in the sun too much. So again, just checking with your doctor. And again, you want to also try to incorporate strength training at least twice per week. And that can be, lifting weights, using resistance bands, or even using your own body weights, like such as doing push-ups. And I think Kim also mentioned that too, about the free, right? You can use your own body weights if you wanted to. And then even resistance bands are really affordable if you just wanted to do those and not need a gym membership. All right. Sorry, just doing a quick pause to check the chat. All right. Yeah, it's harder with the second one when you do that kneeling down, trying to touch your toes, but just letting you know, as you go on and you start exercising more, it can give you kind of a reference point how well your balance is getting. All right, so we talked about moderate versus intensities or versus vigorous intensity. So the difference, just between walking, around 2.5 miles per hour or slightly more versus jogging and running, or recreational swimming versus swimming laps. Doubles tennis would be moderate, singles tennis would be vigorous. So you can once you get the hang of it, you'll start to see the differences in intensity levels. So there is a test you can do to figure out which intensity you are doing. All right, and then we call that the talk test. Anyone heard of this, the talk test? You can do the talk test. That'll tell you if you're at a moderate intensity, you can talk, but you can't sing. With a vigorous intensity, you can barely even talk, all right? You have to pause to catch your breath after every couple of words. So if you have a workout buddy and you all are let's say going for a walk and you can carry a conversation, that's probably fine. But try, if you wanted to belt out a song for a few seconds, if you have trouble singing that song, you are doing good. You passed the talk test. You are at a moderate intensity. If you can, in fact, sing, you are probably going very, very lightly. All right. So you'd probably want even more than 150 minutes of exercise in that case. So again, moderate at 150 minutes a week, vigorous at 75 minutes per week. Now, a lot of Americans do have chronic conditions, and they say to still aim for this, still try to get that those recommended amounts. If you cannot meet the guidelines, do your best according to within your own abilities. So working with your doctor or a personal trainer can help you design a program that best matches your abilities, and just doing your best to avoid being sedentary. Physical activity helps with a whole list of problems from diabetes, hypertension, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, etc. All right, so ways to increase physical activity. And I always like to hear from you all. What are you guys already doing? Because there's plenty of ways to increase it, but I like to always hear what you all do. So, you can try to walk your neighbor's dogs, go for walks more regularly after dinner. What do you all do currently? If anyone wants to share in the chat or even unmute. And of course, it can be indoor or outdoor. Walks, jogging, yoga, walking my new puppy. Oh yeah, having a dog certainly can increase your activity. Cleaning, yard work, stretching, walking 2 to 3 times a week, fixing up the yard. Awesome. All right, so it sounds like a lot of us are getting or have at least some good ideas trying to get more activity. Walk during Zoom meetings. I love that one. That's a good one. I try to do that, or at least stand. If I can help it, I'll stand during Zoom meetings. All right. Do y'all think you're getting the 150 minutes per week on the moderate intensity? Yep, guarding certainly counts too. A no, a yes. Yeah, some people don't even count it too much. And, you don't want to drive yourself crazy counting times and calories and this and that, but do try to make notes. If you did a 30-minute jog or a 30-minute bike ride, try to find out, are you in fact getting the 2.5 hours per week? Some people think they're there, but they're really not, or some people didn't realize they were there all along. All right. We're doing great on time. We're just about to wrap up. Didn't feel like I was getting anything out of it, so I started jogging. Yeah, awesome. All right, so Dee Dee shared going for a jog. Yeah, so maybe you're in different, at a different level than your friend. Again, maybe some people can have more struggles with a simple walk, while it's easier for others, depending on where we are in our fitness capacity. So awesome. And you probably like the scenery, as we said, about being outdoors, being out in the woods. And it sounds like your body is ready for rest afterwards. So yeah, helping with sleep. Awesome. All right. That actually is all I have for you all. Does anybody have questions on this or anything they want to share? Anything about some kind of exercise journey they went on? Anything about weight loss? Any questions before we officially wrap up? Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for joining. All right, so sounds like a lot of you exercise. If not, I hope this convinced you that you get so much out of it. And again, movement is medicine, just remember that. So to wrap up, we are going to as we just ask that you take a very quick survey. There is a QR code there that you should be able to access through your phone. I can also get this in the chat. Hold on. Yeah, so let me get out of this. Sorry, I meant to have it in advance. Did you all get it off the QR code? If not, there it is in the chat. If you all can just take 2 minutes, not even, and it's just going to ask you if you were able to learn anything and what you're going to take away. So before we officially sign off, we just build in the 2 minutes. And then once you are done, if you can just mark done in the chat box, that lets me know that most of us were able to finish that survey. Some of us were able to finish. I realize I just closed out of the QR code. Anybody else need that QR code, or was the link okay? I'll post that link one more time. And this just lets us know, how was the content, how was the layout of the presentation, what changes should we make, etc. So you are helping us get better with our webinars in the future. All right, thank you. So I won't head out just yet in case some of you needed that link still. But if you are all set, you are free to go. That's all I have for you all today. Thank you all so much for joining us. And hopefully you can make it next week. We're going to talk about summer foods and gardening and all that fun stuff. So please join us next week. Thank you all. Thank you guys so much. Yes, I believe the next session will be recorded if you can't make it. If you signed up, you should be able to access it. I believe we'll email that afterwards. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your survey responses and for joining us. All right, and I will go ahead and close out our webinar for those that are still on. Thank you all for being here. And again, hope you can join us next week. Thank you.